Hello guys, in this video I'll show you how to create this full stack MERN application where we'll use MongoDB Express for the backend, React and Node.js. In this app we'll have a register form, a login form, and then each user will have its own goal stored in the database. So let me give you an example. We'll create this user, so example at example.com. Submit. Okay. We'll log in now. If you try to log in with the wrong password, we'll get incorrect email or password. We'll try again. We're logged in. And now each user will have its own goal. So let's say goal 1. Submit. And we'll have it stored here and in the database as well. So let's start. I'll start from scratch. So let me open this new folder. Okay, so we have this empty folder. Let's just create a new folder called backend, and then we want some front end as well. So let's say npx create React app and then frontend. Enter. And while this is installing, let's go to the backend. Here we'll have the server, so server.js. We'll split the terminal, and then inside backend we need to install some packages. So let's say npm I express, which is used for the backend. Then we need Mongoose as well, so Mongoose for the database. And then we'll use course. Course is just a middleware to connect our local host with the backend. So let's install this. Okay, now that everything gets installed, let's just import Express in the backend. So const Express require Express. We'll need an app as well, so we'll say app equals with Express. And then to start our server, we'll say app.listen to our port, so our port will be 1337. And then when this starts, we want to console log that the server started, so we'll say console.log server started on port 1337 and save. Now in the backend, cd backend, we'll have to install again the Express and Mongoose in course because we've installed it in the main folder, so we'll need to install it again. So let's say npm I express Mongoose and then course as well. Enter. Okay, so it's installed already. We'll need an npm init, so we'll create a node project. We'll say yes to all of them, so just press enter. And let's see our package.json. So we have installed in the backend. We'll search for our packages. So let's see. npm I express. Let's install this again. Oops. Express Mongoose and then course. Okay, so now it's installed. We see them here. Now we want to install NodeMon as well. So npm I NodeMon. This is to refresh our server automatically, so we don't have to refresh it every time. So npm I /NodeMon and /d for development. So we only need this while we're developing. Okay, we have NodeMon as well. Now let's go to the package.json, and we want to run nodemon when we type npm run dev. So we'll say dev, then when we type npm run dev, we want nodemon, so nodemon, to run our server.js and save. Let's see if it's working. So npm run dev. Okay, so we get server started on port 1337. Okay, now that we have the basic backend setup, let's go to the front end. Let's clean this up. So let's delete app test, report with vitals, setup, logo, oops, delete, yes, and we don't need all the CSS, save. We can delete the header, the logo, don't need the CSS, we can delete web vitals, and we can delete this as well and save. Let's start our front end. So cd front end npm run start. Let's wait. Okay, now we have our basic front end setup. So let's create our two pages, the register and the login form. Pages, let's create this folder, pages, and inside we'll need the register.js, and then we'll need a login.js. In this register we'll use a shortcut, so we'll say rfc. If you want this snippet as well, you'll have to install this ES7 React Redux snippet. Let's go back. After you install this, you only have to go to the register, type in, delete this, and type in RAFCE and then enter, and you'll have this boilerplate for the register page. Okay, in this register page we'll have let's leave the title like this and then go to the login as well. We need the same thing, RAFCE, save, and then in app.js we want to display this as when we type slash homepage, so slash, we want this register to show up, and then when we type slash login, we want the login to show up. So we'll need to import into frontend, cd frontend. Let's install React Router DOM, React Router DOM for the routing. Let's import it now. We'll say import browser router as router. Then we need routes as well and a single route from React Router DOM and save. Now let's display our pages. So router routes and then our single route. This will have an element, so this will be the register. Make sure you import it as well, so here import register from pages/register. Then we need the path as well. This will be slash, so the main page when we enter, and then we'll need the login page as well. So let's duplicate this and say login. Make sure we import it, and then the path is /login and save. We have a small problem. We have to end this, the register as well, and save. Now when we type slash, we get the register, and when we type /login, we go to the login page. Okay, so let's go back to the register, and let me delete all of this. And in register we'll set up our page. So let's go. We need a title. So on h1 register, save. Now let's get the form as well, where we'll type our info. We'll need an input. We'll have a placeholder, which is name. This is the name input, and we'll have a type as well, which is text. And we want to store this name in the state. So let's import useState. Let's create some state for the name. Const name and set name. Equal useState. And this will be empty for now, but we'll need some state for the email and for the password as well. So let's create it now. Email and set email. Password and set password. Save. And now let's say for the name we need a value as well. So value equals name, and then when something changes inside this box, we want to change it in the state as well. So let's say on change equals, and we need an event. When this event happens, we want to set the name with what it's inside this box. So with event.target.value, and save. Okay, now we have our name set up. Let's give it a breakpoint so it looks nicer. Save. And now let's copy this 2 times for the email and the password as well. So here, let's save. Here we have the email, value email, and set email. Save. Do the same thing for the password. Type password. And set password. Let's save it, and we need submit button as well. So let's say input and type submit. Let's save. And now we have set up our name, email, and password. When we type something inside, it will be stored automatically in the name, email, and password state. Now when we click submit, we want this information. So for example, the user, the email, and the password to send this back to the backend server, to server.js. Let me delete this and save. Now we want this to be sent back to the server.js. So to do this, when we type submit, we need the on submit function. So on submit, and let's say handle register. Okay, so let's create our function. So const handle register. This will be an arrow function. And save. Now when we type submit, and we, for example, let's say user.around.user.com, and the password is user123. This whole page refreshes, so we don't want this to happen. Let's say to stop this, we need an event, and we'll say event.prevent default. Save. Now if we say user, the password as well, and we submit, nothing happens. User 1, 2, 3, save, nothing happens. Okay, now we want this data sent back to the backend. So to do this, we'll need to use fetch. We need to use async for fetch. So we'll say await fetch. Then let's fetch the URL. So we'll say localhost 1337 because that's the address of our server. This will be /API/register, and let's choose what we send back. So we need a body, and inside the body we'll have the name, email, and the password. Save. This will be sent back as JSON, so let's say JSON.stringify, open parentheses, close them, and this is await as well, so let's say await. Let's see where this ends, here, and save. Okay, we'll need, for this fetch, we'll need a method as well. So this method, it's called post because we're sending something back, and we need headers as well. In the headers, we'll need to say that the content type of what we send, it's JSON, so application/JSON. Add a comma and save. Now we basically sent our data back to the backend, so let's try to use it here. We'll say app.post because it's a post request. We'll say /API/register. Then we'll need a request and response. And from this, let's try to console log the name. So console.log, and to console log the name, we have to say the request. So this one, request dot body dot name, because we want to display the name. Let's save, and let's open our console. In the console, let's say submit. Let's open the console, and we get this error, course policy. Well, to get rid of it, we already installed course. So the middleware, let's import it, const course equals require course. This course, as I've told you, is a middleware that will connect the local host with our backend server, so the 1337 port. Let's use course, so app.use and then course. Now we're using data.stringify, so we're using JSON, so let's the browser needs to know that, so we'll say app.use express.json. Let's save this. Let's try to send it again, and we get this username, so user name 1, submit, and as you see, we can use this information now. Okay, so now that we can use the name, the email as well, save. If we submit, we get user, and we can use the password as well. Now we want to create a user with the name, email, and the password. To do this, we need two things. We need a model and a schema for the database. This is basically will tell the MongoDB how our user will look. So it will be type string, and we'll have a name, email, and password, and the goal as well. So we need this user model, and then we need to connect our app to the MongoDB. So let's start with the user model. We'll go to the backend. We'll create a user.model.js. Let's refresh this, and let's import Express MongoDB Mongoose actually equals require Mongoose. Save, and let's create our schema. The schema will be used for to create the user model. So let's say const user schema user. It's equal with Mongoose dot new, so new Mongoose dot schema, and inside we'll have a name which is type string, and then it's required, so required set to true. Now we need an email, a password, and a goal as well. So the email, it's required, but we don't want to let anyone to sign up with the same email, so we don't want duplicate emails. So let's say to fix this we need to set unique to true. Then we need a password as well, and then we need a goal as well, but this goal it's not required when we register, so we'll say string, and that's it. Now let's create our model. Const model user model equals with mongoose dot model, and then we need a name, so let's say user model, and we need the schema, so this user schema, and save. Now let's export this because this is everything, so module dot exports equals with user model, and save. Now we'll use this user model inside server, so let's close this. Let's import the model, so const model equals with require slash user model slash user model, and save. Now all we have left to do is to connect to the MongoDB. So to do this we have to open MongoDB. To install this MongoDB Compass, you have to go to MongoDB Compass, enter the first link, and just go download it. Go to the download, and you have here you can choose between the versions. You can leave this as it is, choose Mac or Windows or Linux, download it, create an account, and then you'll have you only have to create this database. You'll just enter your information, open the Compass, and you'll have this thing. After you set everything as default, we can just copy this link and then connect. Leave this in the bar, and now to connect to the MongoDB database we'll have to say mongoose.connect, something already imported automatically, so let's delete this, mongoose.connect, and then we'll type in our link. But after this we need to specify in which collection we'll store our users, so let's say slash user collection YouTube. Save, and let's import Mongoose as well. To do this we'll say const Mongoose equals require Mongoose, and save. Now when we type something in, nothing will happen because we need to create the user. So to create the users we'll say const user equals with model, so the model that we created, model.create, and we'll create this model as name, so we need a name, let's give the name, so request.body.name. we're getting this request.body.name from the register, so from here we'll get this name, and then we need, from the same place, we need an email, request.body.email, and a password, request.body.password, and save. This is an async function, so let's say await, and this will be async. Save it. Now when we try to create our users, this email, it's unique, so when something types in the same email, we'll get an error. To combat this, we need to add this in a try catch function, so if we get an error, our server will not stop. So let's say try, let's include everything in the try catch block. Let's say catch error and save. Now when we try something, when we try to create our user, if everything works, we need to send a response to the front end, and we'll say response.json, and we'll say just status okay. This is like this, okay. And if we get an error, we'll say response.json and status duplicate email. Let's save, let's refresh. This this error that we're getting, it's from a plugin, so don't worry about it. If you get it as well, it's from a plugin. Now let's try to create our user, so we'll say user around user.com, and the password is user123. Submit, and if you go to the database, we'll refresh, we'll get this user collection, and inside we'll have our user, so we'll have a name, an email, and a password. The goal is not showing up because we didn't configure it yet, so we'll do this when we create the dashboard page. But for now, let's go and try to log in. So we have our user, let's try to log in. We'll go to the login page, let's create the login page first. We'll copy the register page, and we'll go to the login, delete everything, and we'll paste it inside. Let's say here login, we need the password, the email, we don't need the name. Save. This is handle login, this will be login, we don't need the name. This is login as well, this is handle login, we don't need this name. Here login, and save. Now let's check it again, so login, password, email, we don't need the name. This is very important, make sure you say API/login, prevent default, everything looks okay. So we just sent our data, so we've sent, let's refresh this, we're in the /login, and now when we type something in and click submit our data, it's sent back to the server. So let's try to see if it's working. We'll say app.post because it's a post request, API/login, request response, arrow function, and let's say console.log, and let's try to see our request.body.email, for example. This is the email around email.com. Submit, and we get this email. Okay, so it's working. Now, how do we log in with our email and the password? Well, from the model we have a function called find one. So let's say model, let's create a user, so const user equals with model dot find one, and we have to give it the email and the password. We have to find one model that is stored in the database that has the email and the password that we type inside the login form. So let's do this. Let's say const email equals with request.body.email, and let's say it's the same thing for the password. So request.body.password, and this is the password. Save. And we need to find a user that has the email equal with our email, so this one, and then we need the same user to have the password equal with our password, and save. We're getting this error because we have to send a response. So this is an async function. Let's say await and async, and save. Now if we find the user, so we say if user it's true, we want to say response.json status okay, else we want to say response.json and status response.json status. If we get an error here, it will be because we didn't find the user, so we'll say wrong email or password, and save. Now we're just getting our user. If we find it, we'll say status okay, so this is basically logged in. So let's say message logged in, and save. Now if we try to log in with our user, so with this user and user123, let's try to log in with it, and here it's user123. Let's try to log in and let's see what response we are getting. So in the network we get logged in, we get a good response. Now if you try to modify the password and click, let's see, wrong email or password, so it's working. Save, submit again with a good password, and we get, let's get it the wrong email. Let's say user and then user123, submit again, and we get logged in. Okay, now that we've logged in, we can log in and register as well. We want to try, for example, after we register, we want to be redirected to the login page. So how do we do this? Well, in the register, let's open register. We have to get our response. So to get our response from the backend, we'll say this is called the request equals, and let's get our response. We'll say const data equals with request.json, and this is await. It's an async function, and to get our data we'll say if the data dot status. So this status we are getting from here. So if we get a status, it can be either okay or a duplicate email. So if the data.status it's equal with OK, we want to console log navigate to login. But if it's wrong, else we want to alert, so we'll get an alert message that says duplicate email. Let's save. Now we don't actually want to console log navigate.login, we actually want to navigate to the login page. So to do this we have a function that is called useNavigate from React. Let's save this and let's create a const navigate, and this navigate it's equal with useNavigate.com. useNavigate and then parentheses. Okay, let's save this and let's use it inside here. If the data.status it's equal with OK, we just want to say navigate to /login. Let's save this. Now we're getting an error. Let's see what the error is. We have the front end, the backend it's okay. Let's see what the problem is. UseNavigate. I think it's not from React. Let's save. Let's try to import it as well. So we import UseNavigate from React router DOM. Save. Okay, so UseNavigate it's from React router DOM, it's not from React. Now when we register with a different user, so let's say me@me.com, and the password is me123, submit, and we are redirected to the login page, so it's working. Now let's do the same thing with the login page, but when we log in we want to go to the dashboard. So the dashboard will be the page where we display our users' goals. So let's go to login. Let's get the data from the backend, so const request. I'll say const data equals with request.json. This is await, it's an async function. Save, and if data.status equals OK, we want to navigate to the dashboard. If not, we want to alert the user and say wrong email or password. Let's save. Let's import the useNavigate again. So import useNavigate. We're doing the same thing as in register from React router DOM. Save. Let's define our const navigate equals useNavigate and parentheses. Save. Now if the status is okay, we want to say navigate to /dashboard. Save. Navigate to /dashboard. Navigate use, it's N, it's big N. Save. And if you try to log in with me@me.com and the password is me123, we're redirected. We're redirected if you look in the URL to the dashboard. Let's create the dashboard page as well. So we'll say dashboard.js. Inside we need a snippet. You can just type it manually if you don't have the application. Let's say save, and we need to create the route as well in the app.js. So in app.js we need a route for the dashboard path dashboard. Let's import the dashboard as well. So import dashboard from dashboard. Save, and now we get this page. Let's create our basic page in the dashboard. So we need a title, h1 dashboard, and we need a form. The form, we need an input. This will be placeholder. This will be add a goal. Save, Control S. Now let's create the button as well. So this will be type submit. Save. Okay, now we want to display after the title we want to display the actual goal. So let's create some state for the goal. Use state. Let's create a state const. This will be name, and then this will be temporary goal, and set temporary goal. This will be use state, and it's empty for now. Save. Let's create this temporary goal will store in this temporary goal will store what we type inside this input, but we need a state for the actual goal as well. So this will be the goal and set goal. Let's save, and we want to display this goal here. So inside an h2 we'll display the goal and save. Now we either want to display the goal, or if we don't have any goal, we want to say display the goal or no goal found. Save, and we get the no goal found. Okay, so now that we have our dashboard set up, our basic dashboard, we see that in the database we get this password stored in plain text. So to change this, we need a package called bcrypt that will encrypt our password, and will store the password inside secure like hashed password. So we won't store the plain text in the database. So let's go to the backend, to the server.js, and inside this register we need to create a new password, a hashed password. So let's install the package first. So let's split the terminal, and we'll say cd backend, and we'll say npm I bcrypt.js. Okay, now let's import. Oh, we get an error. Let's say again npm I bcrypt.js. No, it's bcrypt, simple. So npm I bcrypt. Let's import const bcrypt equals require bcrypt. Save. You can just install bcrypt.js if you want, but we'll install the full bcrypt package. Okay, so to create our new password, we'll say const new password, which is equal with bcrypt.hash, and we need the old password, so request that body, that password, that one that we type inside login, inside the register. Let's go to the register. So the one that we type inside here, we need it in here, and then we need to type in how many times we want to hash this password. So for example, we get this assault rounds, so how many times we want how strong we want our hash to be. So the default is 10, we'll leave it at 10. This is an async function, we'll say await, save, and the password we can substitute it for the new password and save. Now when we create a new user, it will be stored with the hashed password. So let's do this. So hash, this will be hash, the email it's hash@hash.com, the password it's hash123, submit, okay, never. And if you go to the database, we get this user with a long password. Now there is another problem. If we try to log in with the hash@hash.com and hash123, we're getting an error because when we try to log in inside here, we're trying to find a user with this email, and we're trying to find a user with password that is that's the same as what we type inside the form. So this is no longer valid because we are not storing it in plain text. So we need to delete this, and let's fix this. So const, let's verify the password is password valid, and let's to check if the password is okay, we'll say bcrypt dot compare, and we need the old password. So we'll say request, we have it here, so we'll say password. So this is the one that we type inside the input, and then we'll need the password that is stored in the database, the one that it's hashed. So we'll say user dot password. This is an async function, so we'll say await bcrypt, save, and now if the is password valid is true, so is password valid is true, we'll get this response.json with status okay and the message. Let's save and try to log in again. Now we're getting an error. Let's console log the is password valid. So console.log is password valid and save. The server is down, so let's see what's the problem. Bcrypt it's not defined, so bcrypt, we misspelled bcrypt, so bcrypt, save. Let's try it again, so submit, okay, and we get this message logged in. We get the true, so is password valid, it's true. Now we are in the dashboard, and let's say for example in the dashboard when you type something in and submit, we want it to be stored here, so in the goal and in the database as well, so each user will have its own goal. So to do this, let's actually restart our server, because some user will have the hashed password and some will have the plain text. So let's delete this database, so user YouTube, and let's restart our server as well so we don't get an error. So Control C, yes, and then let's do the same thing for the backend as well, so cd backend and then C, yes. Let's stop this, and then let's restart the front end, so npm start, and then for the backend npm run dev. and save. Let's close the old server. Let's open the inspect. Okay, so now that we have our server restarted and the user collection it's empty, let's create a new user. We'll call this user around user.com. The password is user123. Submit. Okay, never. And inside the database we'll have the user with the long hashed password. Okay, so for example, if we try to log in, user@user.com and user123, submit. We're in the dashboard. So for example, in the dashboard, if you try to give this goal that we type in, we're sending it to the backend, but in the backend the browser doesn't know which user needs this goal, so it doesn't know which user has to insert this goal in the database. Okay, so to do this we'll need a session, so a JWT session that will say, okay, this user is the real user, the password is okay, and we want it will be like a token that will validate that we can add this goal to this user. So to do this we need a package installed in the backend. So in backend we'll say npm I JSON Web Token. Let's import it inside backend. So const JWT equal require JSON Web Token. Save. And then when we log in, if the password is okay, we want to create this token. So let's say const token equals with jwt.sign, and we need a password, so we'll say password. Not actually, we need for this we'll need a payload. So for the payload we can use the email, so we'll say email and email. So the email that so we'll say email equals with the user dot email actually, and we'll need the name as well, so name user dot name, and save. For this to be signed we need a secret as well. We'll use secret 123, but normally you want this to be very complicated and stored inside another file. So this is an async function, so await and save. Now that we have this token, we'll say status okay, and instead of the message we need to send the token to the front end, so we'll say token equals with the token. So now we can access this token in the front end. In the login we can take this token, so before we navigate to the dashboard we want to save this token in the local storage, so we can use it after we are redirected to the dashboard. So let's say local storage dot set item, it's called token, and the value will be the user dot token, and save. Local storage dot set item, this is a token, and the user dot token. User it's not defined, oh it's data dot token. Save. And after we log in, let's go to login. We say user@user.com and user123. Submit. Okay. And if we go to the console and we say local storage, enter, we'll get this token. Let's see if the token is okay. we'll go to JWT.io and let's test if our token is valid. We're getting this. This is basically, this part will say it's the header, the purple part it's the payload, and the blue part it's the signature. So the red part will be the algorithm, so HS256, the type it's JWT. Now the payload it's the email and the name that we entered, so we get user and name user. IAT it's issued at, so it's basically when this token was issued at, so if it's too old it will be no longer valid. And the verify signature, so this is basically our secret, it's secret 123 and secret based 64 encoded. Okay, so our token it's okay. Now we're storing this token in the local storage, so now we can use it inside dashboard. So we can close this, and inside dashboard, let's refresh. Inside dashboard we want to send back to the backend, we want to send this text that we type in. So let's say this input will have the value of temporary goal, save, and on change, when something changes we need an event. On change equals, we need an event, and then if this event happens we need set temporary goal to the event that target that value. So what we type inside, let's say type equals text and save. Now we're storing this temporary goal inside temporary goal. Let's refresh to get rid of the errors. And now we want to send the temporary goal to the backend so we can store it in the database. So we need to use fetch, and we want to store this user only when we type submit. So let's get from the form, we'll say on submit, and let's say handle, no, add goal. Let's create a function, so const add goal, it's an arrow function, and when we type submit the page refreshes, so we don't want that. So event that prevent default and save. So it's working. Now let's send the data in the backend. So to this we'll use fetch, we'll give the path, so localhost 1337, and this will be API/dashboard. Save, and this will be, we'll send in the body, we'll send the temporary goal. So temporary goal, save. This will be, we'll send this as JSON, so JSON.stringify, open parentheses, close, let's see where it's closing. We're getting an error, so fetch, this will be a wait fetch, JSON.stringify. After this we'll need a method as well, so method, this is post, because we're posting the data in the backend, and we'll need headers as well, so this is content type, type application/JSON, add a comma and save. Now let's see what's the problem. We're getting so it's saying await. Okay, so this await we need to add async here. Okay, so the error disappeared. Now we're sending the temporary goal in the backend, but to do this, to authorize this, we'll need to send the token as well. So in the headers we'll send this as access token, and then the value is the token. So the token, let's say const token equals with local storage dot get item and token. Let's save, and we're sending in the backend the temporary goal and the token as well. So let's use it in the server. So app.post, this is /API/dashboard, and then request response, and let's try to console.log the token. Let's save, and when we submit console log token, so this is headers.token, request.headers, so request.headers, and then not the actual token, this is access token. Let's save, and we're getting the token that we stored inside the local storage. So we can use this information. Now the first thing we want to do, let's go back, we want to say the const token equals with request.headers. Okay, so now we want to declare the temporary goal as well, so goal equals with request.body dot temporary goal. Let's save, oops, let's see what's the problem. Oh, we need to type this inside. So this parenthesis is bad. Okay, now const goal equals request body dot temporary goal. Now let's before we can modify the goal, let's refresh this page, and before we modify the goal, we want to verify if the token it's okay. So const is token valid equals with JWT dot verify, and we need the token, so we'll get this token, and then we need to add the secret as well. So our secret is secret123, and save. This is async, so await, and here async, save, and let's console log the token. So console log is token valid, save, submit, and if the token is valid, we're getting this object, which is the payload that we set to the token. So we get the email and the name and the issued at time. Now we want to get the user, so we can modify its goal. So to get the user, we say const user equals with model dot find one, and we want to find it and then modify it. So we don't actually have to use this find on function, we just have to say const email and get the email from the payload. So is token valid dot email, and now we can just directly update it. So if is token valid is true, we want to say we want to update, so update goal, and if not, else we'll just say response.json and status invalid token and save. Now to actually update the goal and not comment it, we need a function which is model dot, we get this is the model and then the function that it's called update one. Here we need the email that it's equal to our email, and then we need to set the new value. So to do this we'll say set, and then make sure you type this correctly, so set, and then we need the actual goal that we sent in the user model. So this one we want to modify this one, so in server we'll say goal will be equal with our new goal and save. This is an async function, so await and then response.json, we'll say status equals with OK, save. Now if you refresh this, we're not getting the error anymore. So basically now when we type something in, we're modifying it in the database. So for example, if we type goal 1 and submit, let's check the database, we're getting this goal 1. Now we want it to be shown in the dashboard as well, so let's go to the dashboard and get the response. So const request, let's say const data equals request.json, await, and if the response, if data status equals OK, if this is OK, we want to display our goal, else we want to say alert invalid token and save. Now when we get an error, yes, invalid token, and if everything is okay, we want this goal that it's displayed here in the h2 to be equal with the temporary goal. So we'll say set goal to the temporary goal, and then the temporary goal will be nothing. So save. If you type submit, we're getting this goal 1. Temp goal, it's not a function. Okay, so set temporary goal, save, refresh, and now if you type something in, we're getting this displayed. So let's say goal 2, submit, we're getting it here, and inside the database, let's refresh, goal 2. Okay, so this is working. Now if we refresh the page, this will disappear but in the database we'll still have it inside here. So to fix this, we want when the page refreshes, the goal to show up. So we need to get it from the database and then display it inside the dashboard. To do this, we'll need to use a useEffect hook. So let's say use effect, an arrow function. Make sure you import the useEffect from React. And then what do we want to do inside the useEffect? We want to check if the token, if we have a token first, and then if the token is okay, we want to display it, we want to populate the dashboard. So let's say const is token valid equals, and we need to install a new package in the front end. So inside front end you have to say npm I React.js, this is the last package, and let's import a function from the React.js which is called decode token from React.js and save. Now let's use this is token valid, so decode token and our token. So let's declare the token, so const token equals local storage dot get item and token. Save. So now if the token is valid, so if is token valid, we want to populate the dashboard. This will be a function. If not, else alert, and we'll say invalid token. Save, and let's create the populate function. So const populate dashboard. This will be an arrow function, and save. Okay, now what do we want to do in this populate dashboard? We want to send the temporary goal in the backend so we can use it there. So let's do that. We'll say const, let's use fetch first, so fetch, let's get the URL. This will be 1337 port 1337, and this will be API/dashboard. In this fetch request we actually want to get some information from the database, so it will be a get request. Every fetch request, its default will be get, so we only have to set the headers. So headers, and inside the headers we want to send the token, so we'll say x access token will be equal with the token. So let's say const token equals local storage dot get item and then token. Save, say token and save. Now we've just sent to the backend the headers, and we don't need to set a method because it's by default get, and we don't need to send anybody because we are only getting data from the backend. So inside here we'll say app.get /API/dashboard request respond. Let's console log the request.headers.token, request.headers, and then x access token and save. Let's refresh, and when the page refreshes we are getting this token. Okay, so let's say const token equals with request.headers.access token. Let's now inside here, what do we want to do? We want to find the user and then get the goal from the user and display it on the front end, so right here. So let's say const user, const, first let's get the email, so const email equals with token. Before we get the email, we need to verify if the token is okay. So const is valid token equals with token dot verify JWT dot verify. We need to add our token and then the secret 1 2 3 and save. Now if we have to copy this because we are getting this parentheses, save. Okay, so const is valid token, it's JWT.verify. This is an async function, so await async, save. Now if the token is okay, so if is valid token, then we want the email, const email is equal, so we're getting the email from the payload, from the token, so we'll say is valid token dot email and save. Now what we want to do is to get the user, we want to get the information from the user, so const goal equals with model dot find one. So let's find the user that has the email equal with our email and save. This is an async function, so await and if everything is okay, we want to say response.json. We want to send the status okay, and then we want to send the goal as well, so goal equals with goal. Else we want to say response.json, and if it's not working we'll say invalid token, save. This is goal singular, and now we've sent the goal of the user to the front end. So let's use it. Let's get the response, so const request equals await fetch, and then let's get the response, so const data equals with request.json, it's await, and if data dot status equals okay, what we want to happen when if the data dot status it's okay, we want to set the goal to data that goal, else we want to say alert and invalid token. Let's save, and we're getting an error. Let's see what's the problem. So await fetch headers. Oh, okay, it's because we have to say async, it's an async function, and save. Now we're getting another error. Yes, objects are not valid as React child. If you meant to render a collection children, let's see what's the problem. If data.status it's okay, we want to set the goal to data.goal. So data.goal, okay, and else alert invalid token. What's the problem here? Okay, so we are getting this error. So set goal.data goal, it's because in server we are using, we've said const goal equals with a model.find one. So this is not the goal, this is the user. Save. And the goal it's user.goal, so the property. So now in dashboard we can say data.goal. Let's save and refresh. And now if you type, for example, goal 1, and if we refresh, this should be still here. So goal 1. Okay, so now I think everything is okay. Let's check by creating a new user from the start. So user1 at user1.com. Let's copy. The password is user123 and the username is user1. Let's submit this. Okay, never. Let's try to log in now. So user and user123, submit, never, and say goal 1, submit. And then let's go to the login, the register page again, and we'll say user2, now user2.com, user2 around user2.com, and the password is user123 again. Save, never. Let's log in, user123, submit, and this should be the goal number 2. Okay, now let's try to log in to user number 1. So let's go to the login. Let's say user1 at user1.com, and the password is user123. Submit, and we get the goal number 1. Now if you try to log into the account number 2, so login, and we go to the user2 at user2.com, and we say user123 and login, we get the goal number 2. Okay, so now everything is working. This should be everything. I'm not going to make this look better with CSS. This should be pretty easy to edit. You only need to add the background and then flex center for everything. Add some you can add some border radius to this box, and this should be everything. If you want to style it, I'm not going to. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.